BSc Accounting, Taxation and Business Analytics, BSc Financial Economics and Sustainability, and BSc HR and Leadership. These have already been accredited by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. The ones that are going accreditation or being processed for accreditation are as follows: Diploma in Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Diploma in Statistics, Diploma in Natural Science, BSc Midwifery, BSc Public Health, BSc Digital Marketing and Entrepreneurship, BA Law with AI, BSc Procurement and Supply Management, BSc Project Management, BSc Transport Management and Security, BSc Computer Science and AI and Machine Learning Engineering, BSc Cyber Security and Digital Forensics. All of them are now being processed for accreditation. All the 8 are as follows: MSc Accounting and Finance, MSc Procurement and Supply Chain Management, MSc Project Management, MSc Logistics and Transport, MSc Operations Management, MSc HR and Leadership, MSc Oil and Gas Management, and PhD HR and Leadership. Executive Certificate Program in African Custodianship and Digital Age Leadership. Mr. Chairman, a 5-week Executive Certificate Program in African Custodianship and Digital Age Leadership, jointly spearheaded by Knutsford University and the Royal Clergy and Sheikhs Alliance, has been introduced in Knutsford University. The program is under the Center of African Studies Leadership and Research, CASLEG, established in August 2025. The main objective of the program is to prepare a new generation of African leaders capable of integrating ancestral wisdom and indigenous governance systems with modern skills to drive sustainable development in the digital age. The program was officially launched at the Knutsford University Auditorium by the Chief of Staff to the President of Ghana, Honorable Julius Deborah, represented by Ms. Samaima Muslim, Deputy Presidential Spokesperson at the Presidency of Ghana.
Today, the world is being reshaped not only in the corridors of Western capitals, but in vibrant cities all over the world, including Africa. The innovation hubs of Kigali, Accra, Lagos, etc., and entrepreneurial centers emerging across our great continent. Just a few weeks ago, His Excellency President John Kwamena Essel stood before the 80th United Nations General Assembly and declared with profound clarity, I quote, by 2050, more than 25% of the world's population will come from Africa. The future is Africa, unquote. This statement was not mere rhetoric. It was a mathematical certainty. It was a call to readiness. It was a declaration that Africa's time is not coming. It is here. But with this demographic destiny comes a fundamental question. Is Africa ready? Or will Africa be ready? Is Africa ready to take up the responsibility? Mr. Chairman, Knutsford University's vision for Africa, the theme for today's historic communication, is our contribution towards answering this question. A vision built on 3 transformative pillars: integration, innovation, and sustainability. This is not just an academic framework. This is a blueprint for Africa, Africa's true independence, our roadmap to equity partnership with the global community. This is how we transform demographic potential into civilizational renaissance. Mr. Chairman, Africa must integrate into one kingdom. United we rise, divided we fall. The late President John Kwamena once said, "We face neither east nor west, we face forward." But he also understood that we can only face forward together. His vision of a United States of Africa was not naive idealism. It was a strategic necessity, and we must go for it. We should be led by our leaders to go for this. Knutsford proposed we reconceptualize this as a United Kingdoms of Africa, a federation that respects diverse cultures, languages, and traditions while creating the political, economic, and social integration necessary for global competitiveness. Why kingdoms? Because we are already heirs to great civilizations of the past. The Khmer Empire, the Ghana Empire, the Mali Empire, the Soga Empire, and countless others. We are kingdoms with ancient wisdom, seeking modern integration. And it is represented by our body of eminent kings and chiefs and imams who have gone through a study to really get themselves abreast with a digital world. We need economic integration. The African continental trade with a combined GDP of about $3.4 trillion. But economic integration requires more than trade agreements. It requires harmonized standards across industries, integrated payment systems that allow seamless cross-border transactions, continental infrastructure, roads, roadways, energy grids, digital networks, free movement of people, an African passport that grants a visa-free travel across the continent, coordinated industrial policies that prevent destructive competition among African nations. When Ghana competes with Nigeria, when Kenya competes with Tanzania, when South Africa competes with Egypt, multinational corporations win. When Africa speaks with one voice and pulls our resources together, Africa wins. Mr. Chairman, we need academic cooperation. Academic integration is needed to strengthen institutions involved. We must think bigger. We need Pan-African student exchange programs that send Ghanaian students to Senegal, Nigerian students to Kenya, Ethiopian students to Botswana. We need collaborative research initiatives that tackle continental-wide challenges, from climate change to disease eradication. We need joint degree award programs offered by multiple African countries. Shared digital libraries accessible to students across the continent. African World Academic Conference that showcase our research to the world. When a young researcher at Knutsford University collaborates with the colleagues at the University of Ghana, the Carrere University, the University of Cape Coast, and the University of Nairobi, they are not just sharing knowledge. They are building neural networks of a continental mind. Our education must reflect multidisciplinary approaches. Business students learning about environmental sustainability, computer science students understanding healthcare delivery systems, nursing students trained in healthcare economics and policies, all students exposed to entrepreneurship and AI readiness, regardless of major. This is integration at the curriculum level, preparing graduates who see connections and not just categories. We need global integration on equal terms, Mr. Chairman. When President Mahama demanded permanent African representation in the UN Security Council with veto power, He was not asking for charity. He was demanding integration on equal terms. For 80 years, Africa has been excluded from the highest level of global decision-making. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council were chosen in 1945 when most African countries were still colonized. That arrangement is just outdated and needs to be updated. Integration with the global community cannot mean integration as junior members, partners, as permanent aid recipients, as a West resource extraction zone. It must mean integration as equals, with equal voices, equal votes, and equal veto when our interests are threatened. The same principle applies to the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, climate negotiations, and technological governance. The power of Pan-African solidarity. Imagine an Africa where 54 nations vote as one bloc in an international forum. A negotiating power with any trading partner. Our 1.4 billion people representing a consumer market no corporation can ignore. Our natural resources, from cobalt to cocoa, are marketed collectively to maximize return. Our intellectual capital, our scientists, engineers, artists, entrepreneurs, flows freely across borders. This is not fantasy. This is what integration makes possible. This is what Pan-African solidarity delivers. Mr. Chairman, Africa must innovate. Innovation is the engine of transformation. Africa has been positioned as a consumer of innovation rather than a creator for far too long. We have been told that we lack the infrastructure, the expertise, the resources, but Ghana's recent economic transformation tells a different story. In the last few months, through innovative policy and bold leadership, Ghana has reduced inflation from 23.8% to 11.5%. Ghana cedi became world's best performing currency. This was not luck. This was an innovation in economic governance. This is what happens when we apply innovative solutions to African challenges. Innovation is not a luxury for Africa. It is our oxygen, our pathway to true independence. We need innovation in education. At Knutsford University, we understand that education itself must be innovated. We cannot prepare Africa's future leaders using 20th century pedagogical models for a 21st century world. That is why we have embraced the STEAM-driven education. Embrace the STEAM-driven education. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, not as a separate disciplines, but as an integral framework for problem solving. Our mission is clear: nurturing curious minds in a world-class study, research, and hands-on environment, igniting passion and hands-on environment, igniting passion for lifelong learning, and equipping students with STEAM-filled skills, knowledge, and values to drive excellence, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. Education as an innovation incubator. Every graduate we produce should not just be a degree holder. They must be an innovator equipped to create solutions where others see only problems. Mr. Chairman, innovation in governance, digital democracy, and transparency. Africa's governance must lead into the digital age. We cannot fight 21st century corruption with 19th century bureaucracy. We need digital governance platforms. We need blockchain-based land registry systems. We need AI-powered healthcare systems. We need e-governance portals that make government services accessible from mobile phones. We are already leading this transformation. Rwanda's digital governance initiatives, Kenya's M-Pesa revolution, Ghana's digital drive, these are not exceptions. They must become the African standard. Mr. Chairman, we need innovation in industrialization. The fourth industrial revolution, characterized by artificial intelligence, robotics, biotechnology, and quantum computing, present Africa with a unique opportunity. Unlike previous industrial revolutions that we missed or were excluded from, this one is still in its formative stages. We can be architects, not just adopters. But this requires investment into STEM education from primary schools to the universities. This requires innovation hubs and technological parks in every African country. This requires venture capital ecosystem that funds African startups solving African problems. This requires intellectual property framework that protects and reward African innovation. Brain-drain policies that attract our diaspora talents back home. At Knutsford University, through our Faculty of Science, Technology and Applied Sciences, we intend to train software engineers, data science scientists, and technology entrepreneurs who will build Africa's digital economy. Innovation is imperative to our independence. President Mahama reminded the United Nations that the global financial, when we bypass the Western financial gatekeepers, when we innovate our solar technology, we bypass fossil fuel dependency. When we innovate agricultural technology, we bypass food insecurity. When we innovate education, we bypass intellectual colonization. Innovation is not just about creating new things. It is about creating new possibilities for African self-determination. Mr. Chairman, Africa must sustain itself and build its continent for generations unborn. Africa is blessed with abundant natural resources. Abundance without sustainability is a curse, not a blessing. Ask the nations whose forests have been cleared, whose minerals have been extracted, whose youth have migrated, whose future have been mortgaged. True independence requires that we can sustain ourselves economically, environmentally, culturally, and intellectually for generations to come. We inherited from God through our ancestors and custodians of the earth. We will leave it to our children. Africa faces severe climate changes, drought, floods, desertifications, rising seas, yet Africa's contribution contributes less than 4% of global carbon emissions. But we cannot wait to be saved. We must lead on sustainability. Renewable energy revolution, regenerative agricultural policies, urban planning, circular economy, eliminating waste through reuse, recycling and regeneration, and conservation. Knutsford is committed to embedding environmental sustainability across our curriculum, ensuring every graduate understands their role as environmental steward. Economic sustainability, breaking aid dependence. Mr. Chairman, President Mahama showcased Ghana's economic achievement at the UN. Reduced inflation, strong currency, restored confidence, economic sustainability, and others. But economic sustainability requires diversified economies, not dependent on single commodities. Value-added processing of our raw materials before export, robust domestic markets that absorb locally produced goods, savings and investment culture that builds generational wealth, strategic reserves that buffer against economic shocks, and tax systems that adequately fund public services without crushing businesses. Aid can be a bridge, but it cannot be a foundation. Africa spends more servicing external debt on healthcare and education combined. This is not sustainable. This is not acceptable. This we must change. African education has been about consuming knowledge produced elsewhere. We study European history more than African history. We learn Western economic models that fail to develop our economies. We graduate students trained to lead, not to stay and build. Educational sustainability means research programs addressing African challenges, case studies drawn from African business successes, literature curricula that center African voices, technical training aligned with Africa's actual developmental needs, PhD programs that keep our brightest minds on the continent. Cultural sustainability, Mr. Chairman. As we innovate and integrate, we must not lose ourselves, our languages, our traditions, our values, and spirituality. These are not obstacles to progress. They are the foundation of our unique contribution to human civilization.
Africa-centered development. He also expressed gratitude for your kind invitation and wishes today's ceremony great success. Today is special for two important reasons. We celebrate the achievements of graduating students who have worked diligently to reach this milestone. Your family welcome a new cohort of matriculants, beginning their transformative academic journey at Knutsford University. Both groups represent the future of Ghana and indeed the future of Africa. This year's theme is forward-looking and deeply aligned with Ghana's national vision and Africa's development agenda. It captures three interconnected pillars essential for Africa's progress in the 21st century. Integrate. Integration speaks to unity, collaboration, and interconnectedness for Africa to fully harness its population, natural resources, and intellectual capital. We must strengthen regional cooperation, cross-disciplinary education, technology-enabled learning, and partnership between universities, industries, and government. Knutsford University's commitment to integration prepares its graduates to operate confidently on the global stage while contributing meaningfully to Africa's collective growth. Innovation is the engine of development. Africa's youth population is expanding rapidly, and by 2050, more than 25% of the world's population will be African. This reality presents both challenges and immense opportunities. Innovation is what will enable this generation to create jobs rather than save them, solve pressing societal problems, complete globally in science, finance, technology, and entrepreneurship, build in new African industries in health, agriculture, digital finance, and renewable energy. His Excellency believes that institutions like Knutsford University must become hubs for creativity, technology, and problem solving, ensuring that African youth are not left behind in global innovation ecosystem. Sustainability is the promise we make to future generations. It reflects environmental stewardship, sustainable economic systems, ethical leadership, and a long-term vision for Africa's development. A sustainable Africa is one that protects its environment, invests in its people, and builds resilient institutions. Knutsford University's focus on sustainability aligns with the global movement toward responsible development and climate-conscious progress. To the graduating class, His Excellency extends his warmest congratulations. Your success today is a testament to years of discipline, sacrifice, and determination. You enter a world that demands excellence, adaptability, and creativity. Ghana and Africa needs your talents, your courage, and your innovation. You are the generation that will help shape the Africa of 2050, an Africa that is globally competitive, self-sustaining, and technologically advanced. To the new matriculants, welcome to Knutsford University. You are beginning a journey that will shape your future, your identity, and your contribution to society. Learn boldly, question deeply, and embrace the opportunities ahead of you. His Excellency commends the Governing Council, faculty, and staff for your commitment to excellence. Your dedication to training responsible, innovative, and globally aware graduates is invaluable to Ghana's development. To parents and guardians, the President extends heartfelt appreciation for your sacrifices and support. Your investment in the education of these students is an investment in the future of our nation. Although His Excellency is not physically present, he assures of his support and admiration for Knutsford University's vision. The theme for this year's ceremony resonates strongly with Ghana's development priorities and Africa's future direction. As we celebrate today, let us remember that Africa's destiny lies in the ability to integrate knowledge, innovate boldly, and sustain progress for generations to come. Congratulations to the